Hey, how's everyone doing today? So I'm gonna do much shorter streams because I have somewhere to be soon, but this is kind of gonna be more of a rant for me today. Just want to discuss some NBA and some stuff that's going on. So what kind of started this video, and it's kind of this whole dot path for me, is that recently the NBA Finals, the Game 2 ratings have actually been the lowest in almost 20 years. And it's not even game 2. Game 1 was apparently, I think, the lowest they said since COVID ones. And you remember, COVID ones are the lowest in NBA history, I think, relative to the era. So we go ahead and read this article. It looks like the game 2 blowout that happened on Sunday between OKC and the Pacers only brought in 8.5 viewers, which was actually brought in 8.76 million viewers, which is the second highest and the second lowest in the last 20 years after the game 2 of the 2007 finals between the San Antonio Spurs and the Cleveland, which were, if you remember, two small market teams that, if it wasn't for Tim Duncan and LeBron James, nobody would probably have watched it. So, what really brought this on is how we've kind of reached this, the road of NBA media. And this is not just a problem with big media such as ESPN, but I think even anime media creators as a whole, they all have this problem, which kind of led to the situation where we're in, where nobody cares to watch the Indiana Pacers or the OKC Thunder, even though two of these being the top, maybe two next gen guards in their positions. I kind of want to talk about this in the three levels: how the NBA media has led to this, how content creators sometimes have led to this, and how the average NBA fan has led to this. So let's first off talk about the media. And this is something that all NBA fans have complained about. The media can't let go of old times. They love them LeBron James conversations, them Steph Curry conversations, LeBron versus MJ. When Steph wins his 5th ring, Magic Johnson versus Steph is going to be a bigger point. Right now, the old heads are kind of just, denying it now because Steph doesn't got 5 rings. And this is my thing. So, a lot of people feel that the NBA should not only not talk bad about the product like the old heads do with the Shaqs and the Charles Barkleys, but it should also push smaller market teams. That way we don't end up with a situation where we have nobody watching the Pacers or the OKC Thunder. I know people that are just now hearing about Shai going into these finals. Shai's been in the league for 5 or 6 years. He was the same draft class as Luka. And some people are just now hearing about OKC with Shai. And the problem is this is the problem with NBA media, is they prioritize the idea of making the bag no matter what. And here's what I mean. If you watch NBA commentators like Richard Jefferson and other commentators, they've talked about this before, where the NBA only cares about making the most money possible and drawing in the views. So, even though they should, talk about the Shais and the Tyrese Halliburtons or the Darius Garlands in the Cleveland Cavaliers, with the Cleveland teams, they don't. Instead, and the reason why they don't do that is they get a lot more views, talking about the LeBrons, the Stephs, the KDs. Why would I, as a big media company, take a hit in my views and possible money down the line, because views equal advertisements? Why would I take a hit talking about the Shais and the Halliburtons when I can just talk about the Stephs and the LeBrons and still make my money? I think that's a problem that the media is starting to see the repercussions of. Because that's cool back in the day, but what happens is the LeBrons, the Stephs, the KDs are going to retire. And now who you guys going to talk about? Like, say what you say about LeBron, but LeBron versus MJ has fueled entire generations. Entire households have been fed by that. Like, people just come on YouTube just to hate on LeBron versus MJ debates. And what's happened now is, yes, you guys are able to get your views and prioritize your money for that time. But now what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is you guys are going to see a steep drop off in big NBA media because they don't have those talking points anymore. And what's going to happen is they're now going to start sounding idiotic. Like, they're going to start talking about the ants. Like, I promise you, and I can see it now, SGA and OKC could win this championship. The next day topics are going to be LeBron's next move and Ant. And that's just a bad thing, because what's going to happen is, thanks to Adam Silver has done everything he can to prioritize the small markets and parity. Well, that parity means you can have a lot more small market teams in the NBA Finals. Just look at the last champions in the parity era. You had the Raptors, which I guess are more of a bigger market team, but still small market. You had the Lakers in 2020, okay? 2021, you had the Bucks, a small market team. 2022, you had the Warriors, okay, big market. So 2 out of 4 of the teams have been small market teams. 2023, you had Denver. And 2024, you had Boston. And now it looks like in this year's finals, you're going to have either OKC or Pacers, which are 2 small market teams that nobody knows about. Do you see the problem now? And some of this is also, like, even how they schedule games. I'm sorry, but, like, we remember when the Lakers were winning like 20, 30 games a season, they still had like 40 national televised games. And that's a problem. KD had to win MVPs and make finals just for OKC to get some nationally televised games, which is a bad product overall. If I have to be arguably the best young core with Russ and James Harden at one point, just for you guys to give me nationally televised games, then that's a bad product. And don't get me started on, you got the old heads like the Charles Barkleys and the Shaqs just hated on the product. The NBA is the only league where they do that. I could turn on NFL Live and I see guys like Jimmy Johnson or I'm forgetting his name right now. Michael Vick. I think he was on NFL Live this year. They're talking about the game. And not only do they talk about the game, but they appreciate the young generation. And all they ask is not to be disrespected. Like, you can't tell me Ed Reed or like them other defensive players from back in the day aren't looking like Patrick Mahomes and be like, if this was my generation, he would have been dead. But they still show Patrick Mahomes love by acknowledging he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, that he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And that's the top down level. And now you have what I like to call the middle level, which is kind of has the same problems with the big medias with Disney. And these are mostly your NBA creators, content creators. What happens is, content creation isn't an easy path. You have a lot of variability and you never know when your next paycheck is coming. So why would I shoot myself in the foot when I can make a for sure bag? So then you hear about YouTube is mentioned as a 1 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 video. 1 out of 10 means that out of your last 10 videos it did amazing compared to your other 10 videos, which is what you want to strive for every time. If you're not getting a 1 out of 10 every new video or close to it, then you're making worse product and you need to look at the drawing board. And what happens is, because certain things are guaranteed views, then it kind of creates this feedback loop where if I'm an NBA content creator, I'm going to talk about the LeBrons, I'm going to talk about the Stephs, because those are going to give me the most views, which gets me the most advertisements, like a big media, which gets me the most money. You can look, for example, on Gil's Arenas channel. He puts a LeBron video, half a million views. talks about maybe, I don't know, Wimby or like Shea barely cracks 100K. And if I'm looking at this and I'm running a company, why should I take the hit? I think one of the biggest NBA YouTubers said it best, Kenny Beecham. He said, and for those who don't know, he's a Chicago Bulls fan. He's talked about this before, where I can't make certain videos because I know they're not going to perform well, and I'm going to take a pay cut. And so what happens is, a lot of times NBA creators don't want to take these pay cuts, which means that they end up doing the same things that big content does, such as the ESPNs, and they create kind of like this feedback loop where I'm just going to talk about the LeBrons, the Stephs, and show you guys other guys that kind of skirt around that, like the Legends of Winnings. But overall, as an NBA content creator, if I know that my next paycheck isn't guaranteed, why should I take the hit? It's the same reason why you don't see any big YouTubers, NBA content creators talk about the WNBA. Because outside of Caitlin Clark, it's very hard to get views. Like, there are, of course, diehard WNBA fans, don't get me wrong. But if I'm trying to make as much money as possible in a short amount of time, because tomorrow's not promised on content creation, why would I take a hit talking about, I guess, A'ja Wilson, for example, when I can just make another LeBron versus MJ video and make 1 out of 10? And then the last level to this is the NBA fan, and why we kind of also cause this problem. You know, back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, it was my team, screw everybody else. Like, of course, you had like certain stars transcended the teams, though. Like, I knew Supersonic fans that still loved MJ when they were winning championships, but they were still, we are the Supersonics first. And what's happened is, instead of supporting your team, you've kind of like prioritized the star first. Because obviously I turn on TV, I see Indiana Pacer fans, but I'm pretty sure if you ask them if they'd rather watch this or a LeBron game, they're going to turn on LeBron game. Well, I feel like generations ago, it was Pacers first, I don't care who's on. I think what's happened now is also because, and I didn't notice till somebody mentioned this to me the other day, you know, a lot of places you can't even get your local NBA teams. Like, let's say I live in Georgia, I can't watch some. I assume that, you know, I should be able to get the Hawks, you know, because I'm from Georgia and it helps brings up views and help keep up with my team. But now you don't even get that as a cable package no more, like back in the day. They actually have to buy it, which I think is a dumb idea. Because no matter what happens, your local fans are what keeps the company there, and what keeps the NBA teams there. Like, small market teams, whether it be small or large, your local fans keep you strong. It's just that the bigger markets have better local fans. I'm talking about you next. And what happens is, now due to the lower level pretty much discarding their fandom, with the NBA content creator middle level prioritizing the bag, and then you have the upper levels also prioritizing the bag. Why would I take a hit just to talk about Halliburton and SGA, which then causes the ratings to go down because nobody knew these players existed or knew much about? Like, I kid you not, I know people that just now hearing about J-Dub in the finals. Like, we as NBA fans have to do better, but it's like, the problem is, who's going to be that sacrificial lamb in the end? Who's going to be that NBA creator that takes the hit, making the SGA, the small market teams? Who's going to be that channel, whether it be Disney, ESPN, who takes millions of advertisement loss to talk about the small market teams? And until someone does that, it's not going to change. And then we're going to Don't be surprised next year if you see another article. This game is the worst game in 10 years for viewers. So I thought I'll kind of do this little rant video. That's really all I wanted to talk about.